In the US alone, hundreds of thousands of people go missing every year. And as is to be expected, not all of these cases are solved. While some of these cases are solved within days or even hours of the report being filed, others take decades to decipher, while some people still remain missing decades after they vanished without explanation. Number 10. 26-year-old Colin Arey has been missing since the 25th of January 2017, and one woman has made it her life's mission to find out what happened to him. Colin originally hails from Bucksport in Maine, but he attained a fashion degree from the Art Institute of New York, where he graduated in 2010. For years, he dated a man who he met on a dating site, but that relationship eventually ended. Following this, he moved back to Maine, where he moved in with his stepfather. He took a job as a substitute teacher, but had to be driven to and from work every day since he didn't own a vehicle. Although they were no longer together, Colin and his ex-boyfriend remained in touch and spoke often. The last time that his ex heard from him was on the day of his disappearance, when they exchanged text messages. The last time that someone actually saw him was also on that day, when his stepfather dropped him off in Brewer Street in Bucksport, since he was about to start working in Bangor Mall, specifically the Sears store that's located there. When he didn't return to his family's house as planned, they initially didn't worry too much, as they believed he might have decided to move back to New York, but this changed soon enough. When Colin's grandmother was admitted to the hospital due to a heart condition, they attempted to contact him and realized that they couldn't. He was reported as missing in June of 2018, a year and 5 months after he had disappeared. They grew even more concerned when he failed to attend his grandmother's funeral in October of that year, and are worried that something untoward may have happened to him. It's known that Colin wanted to move back to New York and that he'd been working towards that goal, but at the time of his disappearance, he was still saving money to make this move. His family states that he was mentally stable, didn't have any issues with illegal substances, and that he usually kept in touch, but that they haven't heard from him for 8 years. Investigators don't believe that Colin was a victim of foul play, but they've been unable to trace his location. This is where Jackie Fulton comes in. She used to work in public radio in New Hampshire, but when she was laid off, she decided to get a degree in documentary studies. For her class, she was instructed to report on a story of her choice that took place in Maine, and she decided to focus on a missing person case, since she received no help when her stepson went missing, though he was located unharmed 3 days later. She then came across Colin's case and decided to focus on him for her class. She learned that investigators from the Bucksport and Maine State Police Departments had conducted several searches, but no leads were to follow. They were unsuccessful in determining Colin's last movements before he vanished. If you've seen Colin or have any information on his whereabouts, you're asked to contact the Bucksport Police Department at 207-469-7951, quoting agency case number 18BK2271. Number 9. The 2nd of October 2014 should have been a relaxing day for 46-year-old Daryl Smith, since he was contacted by his boss that morning and told that he didn't have to come in to work, but instead he went missing and has not been seen or heard from since. Daryl was a construction worker who was living in Dunbar, West Virginia at the time of his disappearance, and on the morning that he vanished, he decided that instead of staying home for the day, he would go to work on another job that he was involved with. It's known that after leaving home that morning, he drove to Interstate 77 in a northerly direction. This information was gathered from his cell phone records, which also revealed that he traveled to Edens Fork Road in Charleston. What has caused investigators and those close to Colin a lot of concern is the fact that his cell phone has not been used after that point and has likely been turned off for unknown reasons. When no one had heard from him by the 7th of October that year, a missing person case was filed with the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office. Colin's family told them that he was in the habit of keeping in close touch with them and that his disappearance has caused them a great deal of worry. They added that he was well known in the area and that he had many friends who were just as concerned for his well-being. By all accounts, he was well liked, and they couldn't think of any reason why someone would want to harm him. Thus, it came as a shock to everyone involved when investigators announced that Colin's case had been upgraded from a missing person case to a homicide investigation. Through the passing years, many people have been questioned. Several properties have been searched after search warrants were issued, and according to the police, a lot of evidence has been found and collected, but no trace of Colin has been found. Interestingly, they've also announced that they have identified a person of interest who may be responsible for Colin's disappearance and passing. But since the investigation is still open, they've declined to make their identity known to the public. It's been suggested that after Colin arrived in Charleston for his secondary job, someone attacked him and turned off his cell phone after stealing it. This remains pure speculation though, as no such evidence has been made public. But since this is the last area that he was known to be in, it seems a likely scenario. Anyone who has information that could help investigators make progress in Colin's case is asked to contact the Kanawha County Sheriff's Office at 304-357-0169. Number 8. 45-year-old Jennifer Hallowell Watkins' case has left investigators baffled since they have a good idea of her last known movements, some of which were caught by CCTV cameras, but they've been unable to track her down for more than 2 months. At the time, she was living in Washington, North Carolina, and on the morning of the 27th of June, 2025, she was seen on VOA Road, though reports do not indicate whether she was walking or traveling in a vehicle. When her stepmother had not heard from her for 2 days, she contacted the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office and told them that Jennifer had not come home. A missing person investigation was started, and one of the investigators' first tasks was to ascertain her last known movements. CCTV footage from a Speedway store on Highway 264 showed Jennifer visiting the store on the night before she disappeared, and in the footage, she doesn't seem to be in any kind of distress or under anyone's control. While searches of the area were carried out, not a single trace of Jennifer has been found so far, and her family is growing ever more desperate for information on her whereabouts. During the resulting investigation, several of her friends were interviewed, but no one could add anything useful to the information that had been gathered. Several people have contacted Crime Stoppers to submit tips, all of which were followed up on, but still no sign of Jennifer has been found. The police have stated that their investigation has revealed no evidence of foul play in her case, and hence they've not identified any suspects that may be responsible for her disappearance. The National Center for Missing and Endangered and the Aware Foundation have taken an active interest in Jennifer's case and have aided in searches for her, but for the time being, they've been unable to find any additional information that could progress her case. In hopes that someone will come forward with additional information, a $5,000 reward is being offered by Crime Stoppers to anyone who comes forward with a useful tip that leads to Jennifer being tracked down. The last person to see Jennifer was one of her friends, who told the police that she seemed completely normal, and hence her disappearance has left everyone involved mystified. Investigators and her family have asked that the public keep an eye out for her and report any sightings. They can remain anonymous if they wish. With every passing month, Jennifer's case grows colder, and with no new leads coming in, her case needs to be solved before it goes completely cold. According to Jennifer's estranged sister, she was in an on and off again relationship with a man who her family considers to be dangerous, since they believe she was a victim of domestic abuse. While investigators don't think that foul play is involved, her family feels that something untoward may have happened to her, since the man with whom she was involved for more than 10 years is said to have treated her badly. Anyone who has information on Jennifer's whereabouts is urged to get in contact with the Beaufort County Sheriff's Office at 252-946-7111. Her NamUs case number is MP149037. Number 7. Jose De Jesus Pereda Alacron is a 69-year-old man who's better known to his friends and family as Pepe. Unfortunately, at the time of his disappearance, Pepe was known to be struggling with memory loss, and it's believed that this may have been a contributing factor in his case. At the time, he was living in Riverton, Wyoming, and the last sighting of him was on the 5th of September 2018. It's believed that he was traveling to the Sand Draw landfill just outside of Riverton, and that he planned to get rid of some trash there. Thanks to CCTV surveillance footage that caught Pepe while he was driving his truck, it's known that he was traveling in the direction of the landfill, since his vehicle, a white single-cab 2002 Toyota Tacoma pickup truck, was recorded by cameras as he drove south on Federal Boulevard. His truck was recorded driving in this direction at around 11:30 that morning, and the footage obtained by investigators shows that he had some trash on the back of his truck. It was noted that the truck's license plate number is 1018870, and the vehicle was missing both rear hubcaps. Investigators have suggested that due to the issues that he's having with his memory, Pepe may have become confused and disoriented while driving to the landfill, and he's been unable to make his way home ever since. His family added that he suffers from diabetes and that he likely doesn't have the medication he needs for that condition with him, which has caused them even more concern for his well-being. During the resulting searches for Pepe, which resulted in searches from the air, Pepe's truck was found abandoned 10 miles east of Riverton. This has caused even more confusion in his case, since it was located in a remote area in the Wind River Indian Reservation. One investigator reported that the vehicle had become lodged in a washout close to a pipeline road, and as soon as it was located, further searches of that area were organized. Searchers used all-terrain vehicles, a helicopter, and searched on foot for any clues as to which direction he took after his truck got stuck, but they were unsuccessful. The search of that area lasted a full 5 days, but quite unbelievably, not a single clue was found. None of Pepe's personal belongings, items of clothing, or witnesses were located, and eventually the search had to be called off. Pepe's family has been searching for him for close to 7 years without any result, and has offered a $10,500 reward to anyone who contacts the police with information that leads to him being located. Anyone who saw Pepe on the day he disappeared, or in the years that have passed, or who has any additional helpful information, is asked to contact the Fremont County Sheriff's Office at 307-856-7200. Number 6. Joseph Miranda Jr., a 23-year-old man hailing from Granger in Washington, was reported as missing on the 26th of May, 2016. And 7 years later, his family is no closer to finding out what happened to him. What's caused them a lot of concern is the fact that Joseph considered his favorite movie to be the 2014 release Wild, which is about a hiker who set out on a 1,000-mile trek on the Pacific Crest Trail in an effort to overcome the issues that she was experiencing in her life. Hence, many people are concerned that Joseph followed suit and that he got lost in the wilderness before succumbing to the elements. His mother has reported to investigators that she was the last one to see him before he inexplicably vanished. She stated that on the 25th of May, she was seen at the family's home and nothing seemed out of the ordinary, but she went to check on him the next morning and she found his bedroom empty. He had, however, left a note behind addressed to his wife, in which he stated that he won't be seeing her for a while, though Joseph didn't elaborate as to exactly what that meant. When she checked outside, she realized that his car was still parked in the driveway and that he hadn't taken his keys with him. But he did take his phone with him, and at first it was hoped that he could be tracked this way, but it was soon discovered that he was using a government-issued cell phone, which couldn't be tracked. This brought Joseph's case to a very sudden standstill, since he left no indication as to where he was going or what his plans were. He may have gotten a ride with someone or set off from a family's home on foot, but no evidence of the direction in which he traveled has ever been found. In desperation, investigators kept track of his bank accounts, but they've seen no activity since the day that he vanished. His credit card was used to buy a soda at a gas station, but the shop was local to the area, and the transaction is believed to have taken place before Joseph disappeared. At one point, there was a glimmer of hope when there was activity on his social security number, but investigators have stated that Joseph's number may have been used by someone else after he vanished, who stole his identity. Joseph's father spoke to him at around 10:30 p.m. on the night before he went missing, and is desperate to find out what happened to him. A Facebook page has been set up to bring attention to this case, but it's not resulted in any leads yet. Before his disappearance, he had long hair and a beard, but this could have changed in the years that have passed. Anyone who knows where Joseph is, or where he planned on going after leaving the house, is urged to get in contact with the Granger Police Department at 509-854-2656. His nameless case number is MP34031. Number 5. The case concerning the disappearance of 74-year-old Naiping Ho from Rancho Cucamonga, California, has his family extremely worried, since investigators have stated that there is a strong likelihood that he was the victim of foul play. Ho originally hails from China, and at the time of his disappearance, he was married and had children and grandchildren. He's known to have had a love for table tennis and woodworking, and was semi-retired when he vanished in March of 2025. According to some sources, Ho and his family had just returned from a fishing trip, and he was last seen at his home in Rancho Cucamonga. When his family was unable to get a hold of him, they requested that the police conduct a welfare check at his house, and they were happy to oblige. But when they arrived at the house, they found that he wasn't there, and have since stated that they've discovered evidence that led them to believe that he was abducted, likely by someone who wanted to gain access to his bank accounts. Hence, a missing person case was opened, and an investigation into the events leading up to his disappearance started. From the very start, the authorities kept a close eye on Ho's bank accounts, and it didn't take long for the first pieces of evidence to be found. Within weeks of his disappearance, someone started using his name and accounts to complete fraudulent transactions, and even attempted to sell his vehicles, as well as trying to rent out his home. But this scheme was unsuccessful. Before long, all of Ho's savings had been stolen from his accounts, and most of the money was used to buy gold bars, totaling around $1 million. The money that was stolen included his retirement savings, which were meant to support him as he got older. It's since come to light that whoever abducted Ho had used his cell phone to make contact with his family. The imposter started texting Ho's son, but his family quickly realized that it wasn't him, and also reported this to the police. When Ho's son was later asked whether he would come and visit his grandchildren, the person using the phone declined, and they immediately knew that this wasn't Ho, since he always jumped at every opportunity to see them. When the texts got even more bizarre, they grew suspicious and went to his house to check on him, but when they arrived, they found the house empty and then contacted the authorities. The lawn hadn't been mowed for some time, which was very out of character for Ho, and they immediately knew something was amiss. According to Ho's family, it's no secret that he had a lot of money thanks to his knowledge about cryptocurrency, and his kidnapper likely saw him as an easy target given his age. Ho remains missing, and a $250,000 reward is being offered for useful information that leads to him being found. Anyone who has seen Ho, or has any information that could help the investigators progress his case, is urged to contact Detective Vinayas Quezada at 909-890-4848. Number 4. In August of 2021, 36-year-old Marine veteran Juan Merlos was living in a town called Cut and Shoot in Texas. The town's unusual name comes from an argument that took place at a local church in 1912 over the design of the church's new steeple. As the argument got more heated, one young boy got frightened and stated he was about to cut around the corner and shoot through the bushes, which de-escalated the situation, and it was then adopted as the town's name. As for Juan, his family is concerned for his well-being, since he's known to suffer from PTSD, and without the support of his family and friends, might find it hard to cope on his own. Before he went missing, he was very close with his family, and they've stated that he wouldn't simply decide to leave without informing them of his plans. The weeks before Juan's case started were very hard on the family, and may have worsened his mental state. Just weeks earlier, his sister Karen lost her life in a tragic accident, and 2 days later, his brother Oscar received the unfortunate news that he'd been diagnosed with stage 3 kidney cancer. The last time that anyone saw Juan was on the 20th of August 2024, while he was spending time at the family's home. At some point during the stay, he got into his pickup truck and drove away, and has not made contact with his family since. A witness would come forward to report that they'd seen his truck being driven in Segovia later that same day, but they couldn't confidently state whether Juan was behind the wheel. Segovia is about 330 miles from the family's home, and they have no idea why he may have decided to travel there. On the 21st of August, Juan made 2 phone calls to friends who were living in Los Angeles. The conversations between him and these friends have not been revealed, but it's known that his cell phone was turned off shortly after the calls were made, and hence it cannot be used to find his current location. His family has reported that he planned to visit a friend in Los Angeles that same week, but he never boarded the flight that he had booked, and it isn't known where he went after that. That same day, his truck was captured by CCTV cameras in Antony, New Mexico, as it entered the area. But his family has also been baffled as to why he would be in that area, since they don't believe he has any friends living there. Investigators have released a description of the truck, which is a 2009 Chevrolet Silverado with license plate number RRB 5140. It's now been confirmed that he never drove to Mexico, and so it's hoped that he may still be in the area for reasons unknown. If you or anyone you know has any information on where Juan may have traveled to, or if you've spotted his truck, you're asked to contact the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office at 936-760-5800. Number 3. The case of the disappearance of 35-year-old Lauren Steele may never have been opened were it not for the fact that her flight on the 2nd of August 2024 was delayed. At the time, Lauren had been living in Carlisle, Pennsylvania for 11 months, having moved there from Virginia. She originally hailed from New York, and at the time of her disappearance, she lived through a truly horrific experience. The details surrounding this are vague, but Lauren's family told investigators that she contacted them and stated that she had been captured by human traffickers. She somehow managed to make an escape and then placed a call in which she stated that she was fleeing to Las Vegas. There, she planned to attend a rehabilitation program for people who've been affected by human trafficking. And by the sound of her demeanor, she was excited to start the program, which makes her disappearance all the more perplexing. According to those who know her, Lauren is a very trusting person, which would have made her an easy target for anyone with nefarious intentions. She'd been renting a room in Virginia at one point, but then learned that the man who she was renting from was involved in human trafficking. She told her family that her phone had been fitted with a tracking device, and that whenever the traffickers left the building, they would lock the doors so she couldn't leave. She became very frightened and contacted the FBI, but according to her family, nothing was done. When she managed to escape, she traveled around for fear of being tracked down, and eventually settled in Carlisle. She changed her cell phone often so that she couldn't be tracked, since she was worried that the traffickers may harm her family. When Lauren arrived at the airport for her flight, she was informed that bad weather had caused a delay, and she was put up in a hotel. From there, she called her family and assured them that she was all right, adding that a man had been placed outside her room to make sure that she caught her flight when the plane was ready to leave. The man she spoke about has never been identified, and it isn't known whether he was affiliated with the airport, the hotel, or law enforcement. That phone call is the last contact that her family had with Lauren, and her whereabouts remain unknown. During the resulting investigation, it was discovered that Lauren's phone was present on a flight from Pennsylvania to Chicago, and that it was then on another flight to Las Vegas, but it isn't known whether it was in her possession at those times. The family is concerned that the traffickers managed to catch up with Lauren, and that she's being held somewhere against her will. She's listed as missing and endangered, given her fragile mental state, and since she had a few medical issues. But it has, however, also been suggested that she's chosen to remain out of contact with her family, as she could be worried that their lives are in jeopardy since she escaped from her captors. But there's no evidence to support this theory. If you have any information on Lauren's case, or know where she may have traveled to, you can contact the Pennsylvania State Police at 570-697-2000. Number 2. The fact that 45-year-old Jay Ketter has been out of contact with his mother since February of 2025 has caused his family a lot of concern, since he's in the habit of speaking to her every day, but she's not heard from him for more than 6 months. Hence, they believe that he's a victim of foul play, and despite several searches being conducted by the authorities and the family, his whereabouts remain unknown. An appeal has now been made to the public in hopes that new leads will be provided. Jay's mother has been diagnosed with an aggressive type of cancer, and in the months leading up to his disappearance, he would often visit her house in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, to help out with the chores that she was struggling with. The last place where he was seen is in the East Warrington and Arlington Avenues areas of Allentown, which isn't surprising since he was known to visit those areas quite often. But at the end of January, he stopped visiting his mother, never called her, and calls to his phone went unanswered. His family members say that they immediately knew that something was wrong, since Jay would never remain out of touch without informing them beforehand. This was the first instance in a very long time that Jay hadn't spoken to his mother every day, and a missing person case was opened. But by May of 2025, no new information had been found, and Jay's case was handed over to a new detective, who very quickly found what he called valuable evidence, though the nature of that evidence has not been made public, since the investigation is still underway. But due to the new information that was received, Jay's family has stated that they believe something untoward happened to him, and that he's likely no longer alive. They've not revealed why they believe this, and they've not stopped looking for him since the day that he vanished without a trace. They've conducted searches on foot, scouring through abandoned houses and buildings, searching under bridges, and have spread awareness about his case as far as they can, but no one has come forward with any new information. It's been suggested that one of Jay's friends may know what happened to him, since his brother Michael asked them to come forward anonymously. Jay's known to have a small circle of friends with whom he spends time every day, which led his family to believe that they may know more than they're letting on. They added that even if Jay is deceased, they'd like him to be found so that his mother can have some semblance of closure, since she's finding it difficult to deal with his disappearance at a time when she needs as much rest as possible. Investigators have since also revealed that they believe Jay is deceased, and he's a victim of homicide, since the details surrounding his case are very suspicious. It's believed that his remains might be hidden somewhere in the Allentown area. Anyone who can add additional information to this case is asked to contact the Pittsburgh Police Special Victims Unit at 412-323-7141. Number 1. It's remarkable how often a missing person case involves that person being seen getting into a vehicle with an unknown person, which is the case in the disappearance of Kelsey Johnson, a 32-year-old woman from Gillette, Wyoming. At the time of her disappearance on the 14th of April 2025, Kelsey, who also sometimes uses the last name Hall, was seen in a trailer home park in Gillette. She was then seen talking to a man in a blue Dodge Crew Cab pickup truck, which had a red passenger side door. Following the conversation, she was seen getting into the truck, and the pair was then seen driving away from the park. The man who was driving has not yet been identified, and the authorities have stated that they would like him to come forward so that he can be interviewed. Kelsey has a son whose birthday she missed, and this caused her family a great deal of distress, since she would never have missed such an occasion without good reason or without informing them. She's known to travel out of town on occasion, but has kept in touch with her family via telephone in the past. The last time that anyone spoke to her was when she contacted her mother on the 30th of March. But when she hadn't contacted any of her friends or family by the 6th of March, they became concerned and contacted the authorities to file a missing person report. The Gillette Police Department is investigating Kelsey's case and has asked that anyone with helpful information contact them. Strangely, one of Kelsey's friends reported that on the 23rd of April, someone claiming to be her contacted them via text and asked if they could borrow $20, though they didn't state what the money was needed for. Her friend obliged and sent the money through Cash App, but it isn't known whether the funds were ever drawn or whether the person who requested it was really even Kelsey. It's been suggested that she may have been in either Denver or Greeley, Colorado, but investigators have not revealed why this is a possibility. That same friend told investigators that Kelsey was in regular contact with her friends, and hardly a day would go by without her contacting at least one of them. But it's now been months since anyone has heard from her, and her friends and family are desperate for information. It should be noted that Kelsey sometimes finds herself without a place to stay, but she would always contact someone she knew for aid. She always kept in close touch with her best friend, Jocelyn Wickard, but she's not heard from Kelsey since the day that she was seen getting into that mysterious man's truck. All of Kelsey's friends have been interviewed by the police, and it's confirmed that no one has heard from her since the day of her disappearance. The last time any of her friends heard from her was between 2 and 3 weeks before she vanished. Several appeals have been made to the public, but no new information has been received. Anyone who can provide additional information on Kelsey's case is asked to contact the Gillette Police Department at 307-682-5155. Her NamUs case number is MP143750. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked this video, be sure to hit that like button. Also, don't forget to subscribe and click that notification bell to keep up to date with all of our future uploads. But my name is Ty Knotts, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.